You guys already know what we're about to do, what time it is. It's a new month. We're gonna make a rich bish matcha and we are gonna sit down at my desk and budget together for a brand new month. All right, so we just made our healthy and wealthy RBM, Rich Bish Matcha. I have decided that for 2025, I'm going to be calling my matchas my RBMs, just for fun. Literally no other reason than for fun. I love making up like weird superstitions for myself of like, oh yeah, if I call it this, then I will attract more wealth into my life. If I rub the nose of my little piggy bank, then it's gonna bring more good luck, because why not? Why not? Let's take a sip. I haven't even tried it yet. So good, as always. February's here and it is time to make our budget for the month of February. It's so crazy because it feels like it's been way more than a month since I stood right here and made my how I budget for a new year video. But at the same time, January just kind of flew by. So I don't even know how to describe how I'm feeling. I will tell you that I'm excited to reset for a new month. January came with a lot of motivation, a lot of challenges, a lot of spending, so we will review all of that together. I love how when it comes to budgeting, every single month is a fresh start, and I love sharing my monthly money updates with you guys and really getting in every single month to how I budget for a new month. I think it's super fun. I feel like I learn something new every time I make one of these videos. I've always got, you know, new insights and new little methods, changing things up. So I love being a guinea pig. I love exploring when it comes to budgeting. And I love knowing that at the end of the day, it's not that deep. For me, budgeting is a form of self-care, and I want to translate that feeling to you guys through my videos in a way that just feels like two friends hanging out over a matcha and talking about our money and talking about our goals. Let me know in the comments how January went for you and if you have any goals coming up for February. If anyone's new, my name is Zoe. I'm 28 and I live in Montreal. I have been posting money videos on YouTube for probably going on 5 years now, which is insane. I've shared my entire money journey with you guys so far, from paying off my student loans, learning about budgeting in general, being a total overspender, living paycheck to paycheck, to now, as of 2025, attempting my zero-based budget, pay yourself first, and just feeling a lot more in control with my money. You guys have seen me go from being a corporate employee with a fixed paycheck to being a freelancer and navigating the struggles that come with that transition. By no means am I perfect, by no means have I figured it all out, but that's what I love about sharing my life and my budgeting journey with you guys, is we kind of get to figure it out together. So that's my little spiel about me. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so, and please give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it so far. I'm gonna put my matcha down here. Now we have my cash envelopes. Of course, we will be talking about these. We have my handy dandy budget tracker that we will be diving into, and I just wrote down in this little folio my kind of plan for the video. What do I want to talk about, and a little video map. I will put chapters down below in case you want to jump around, but really, you guys, I love to chat. You guys know I love a long video, so get cozy, stick around, and let's talk about budgeting. All right, so first up on the list, I often like to start these videos talking about my money feels, how things kind of went last month, just from an emotional perspective. I have dealt with a lot of financial anxiety in the past, just feeling really stressed about money, really worried about money, a lot of the times irrationally so, and feeling like money and finances were totally consuming my thoughts and consuming my life. It varies, okay? It varies month to month. I will say that January was a really great month. I felt really inspired by budgeting and just really in a good headspace of wanting to take care of my finances, wanting to make 2025 the best year yet. Just a lot of that New Year's inspiration and motivation feeling, which is great. Like, I'm not bashing that. Who doesn't love feeling motivated, right? A couple things that helped me with that I want to share with you guys is I really stayed in a mode of consuming personal finance content, specifically through reading. I was reading the book, The Wealthy Barber Returns. I finally finished it and it was just so good, reading a chapter or two every couple of days. I actually read it with my boyfriend, so it was nice because we were able to talk about it. And I feel like doing that shared activity, reading that book together, really, really opened up our discussions around personal finances. We've always been quite transparent, but this just really took it to the next level of making us talk about it like almost every day, which is great because at the end of the day, we were talking about our goals every day and how can we encourage each other and do better as a unit, seeing as we live together, to kind of progress towards towards those goals and make changes in our life that reflect those goals. So reading that book and opening up the discussion about money in my relationship was really great. And last year I set the goal of reading one personal finance book a month, and I did not do it, but I think I want to bring that goal back, or maybe not one per month, but just kind of always have a personal finance book on the go, whether that's a physical book or an audio book. Because again, it just really keeps your mind in that headspace. And I found that it really helped me help build up momentum towards my goals. And that's what we want, right? Because when we walk into a store where everything's looking cute, or we're out for dinner with our friends, rather than have always that treat yourself, you deserve it mentality, these books help us switch our mentality over to, yeah, sure, you deserve it, but you also deserve financial freedom and a feeling of peace. And the good news is that feeling lasts way longer than that instant gratification, treat yourself. Okay, so that kind of makes it sound like I was perfect with my budget. We're gonna dive in and you guys will see there's a lot of red on my spreadsheet. I was by no means perfect this month, but I was motivated and I was feeling positive, and that was great. So that's a big win for me. I just want to keep that mentality going through February and honestly through the rest of the year. So yeah, happy to report that I'm feeling pretty great about money right now. So I guess without further ado, we should dive into this budget tracker. Now, I did a full walkthrough of this budget tracker in my How I Budget for a New Year video. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, highly recommend checking out that video from last month. I'm going to walk you through this tool, and this is a life-changing tool that you can buy online for like 30 bucks, okay? I will have it linked down below. It's from The Line. I'm always like pushing this budget tracker on you guys because it helps so much. When it comes to getting your finances together, getting your finances in order, you need visibility. You need to see what's going on. And this does just that in a very fun and user-friendly way. So starting out, this is my yearly summary. I'm not gonna spend any time here because we're only 1 month into the year so far. I'm going to dive right away over into my January tab. Now let's draw our attention right away to the expense summary. You guys can see there's a lot of red here, and that means that I overspent in a lot of my categories. It's actually crazy if you look at the total down here, overspending by $800. So I thought we could start out here and go through my entire budget, talk about where I overspent, kind of what happened, because I think it's really nice to understand. Another thing that I'm trying to practice this year is not freaking out when I see red. All right, the old me would have seen the red and been like, oh my God, Zoe, how could you? You're so this, you're so that. I would speak really, really negatively to myself, or I would panic. Something that I noticed, this habit that I have, and I think this comes with the way that I was raised and a lot of stress about money growing up, is always jumping to the worst case conclusion. And when I did my annual budget review, so when I sat down at the end of 2024 and really looked at my spending, I realized that my spending wasn't anything too crazy, especially in relation to my income, right? That's obviously important. And I looked at how much I was able to save and invest, and it wasn't as bad as I had been telling myself it was all year long. Every month I would say to myself, you spent too much, you didn't save enough, you didn't earn enough, and I'd be really hard on myself. And then I got to the end of the year, looked at the big picture and was like, okay, I did pretty good. So with that in mind, I've learned that there's no point in being so hard on myself. Anytime you make a mistake, it's an opportunity to learn and improve. So that's why I'm kind of not freaking out at all this red here. Let's go through it category by category. So first things first, we have groceries. I budgeted $420 and spent pretty much $420. Now, actually, at the beginning of the month, I had budgeted $450, but I ended up giving some of that budget over to dining out. You guys know I do cash envelopes, so I just physically give myself the cash, and I will also reflect that change in here because I ended up dining out a little more than I had anticipated at the beginning of the month. That's what I love about cash envelopes, is like, it's not that deep. And even if you don't do cash envelopes, you can pass money between your accounts. It's your money, you do what you want with it. I budgeted $0 for coffee and successfully spent $0 of my personal budget. I did have a few business coffee meetings, but that comes out of my business account, so it's not related. You guys know the story. We decided, my boyfriend and I, that we were gonna be doing no coffees out. We bought a really nice espresso machine for the beginning of the year. And that was the result of a nice conversation about personal finances, was realizing, oh my God, we're spending so much on takeaway coffee. Let's just get a great machine and make it at home. And it's been so much fun, you guys. I do not miss going to the coffee shop. I don't miss it at all. I've got my cute to-go mugs. I can use the milk frother to make delicious matchas, and it's been so fun. So $0, that was a great win there. Next up was the Maggie category. Now I did spend a lot on my dog Maggie. You guys can see the total is $277. So overspending by $77, which is quite a bit. I feel like $300 for the month on your pet is pretty high. Why was it so high? I know I spend a lot on my dog. I just do. And I used to feel really guilty about it. Now, having had her for 4 years, I kind of just know that this is the drill. I send her approximately once a week to doggy daycare. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that. And it's great for her because she just gets to go out and play and socialize with other dogs. And it gives me a kind of guilt-free day out of the house, not having to worry about making sure that she's cared for. So it's expensive, but it can be worth it. The other thing is that I buy her food in the really large bags because on a weight basis, you do save a lot of money that way. So this month I had to refill her food. I probably won't need to refill it until about mid-March or even later. So that's good. That's kind of why the budget took a bigger hit this month. Maggie is a cash category, so usually I budget for everything in cash. My boyfriend also helps me out, so realistically the spending on the dog was even higher than this. But for me, for what I paid, I did have to use my credit card for that $77. And luckily I earned enough this month to just be able to pay that off and not have to go into credit card debt for the dog. In the home category, I budgeted $50, ended up spending $68, so it was over by $18. Actually, I spent a little bit more than this because just before I made my budget, like in that kind of Christmas, New Year's period, while it did fall in January, Jess and I did a Canadian Tire run, just kind of stocking up on cleaning supplies and stuff for the house. And yeah, I didn't budget for that. But then why it got lower is because I returned something that I bought on Amazon. So that kind of balanced it out. So in the end, over by $20, which is fine because I can take this from my sinking fund. And even actually when it comes to Maggie, I do have some money put aside in a savings account for her. So this is covered. That's why I'm not freaking out. Personal care, I budgeted $20 and spent nothing. You guys know I'm on my natural nails journey, so that is saving me a bunch of money. And what's great is that this can just roll over to the next month. I can do a bigger personal care budget. For treat yourself, I budgeted $50 and spent $202. Now, a lot of this spending was again done in that kind of vortex between Christmas and New Year's. I did have a little bit of Christmas cash that I spent. So I would say about $100 of this $100 overspend was Christmas money. So not too worried. And then yeah, definitely there's no justifying. I overspent. Okay, for gifts, this was another one with a big overspend. I budgeted $30 and then ended up spending $270. I actually didn't spend any of my cash, but what this was for is a deposit on I think I can say it because I don't think they're gonna watch this video, but my family is so confusing, you guys. So if you're like question mark, question mark, question mark, yeah, it's okay. My stepmom is getting married, not to my dad. I am the maid of honor, which is so cool. And she asked me to take care of the cake for her. She was gonna pay me back, but I wanna give it to her as a wedding gift. I just wanna pay for the cake. And this $270 was the 50% deposit of that cake. So the rest I'll pay it in May when it's time for the wedding. Actually, JS is gonna help me pay it. So this is all that I'm gonna be paying, but I kind of forgot that I would have to pay the deposit on the cake. So that's why it wasn't budgeted for. Again, this can come out of sinking funds, savings funds, that's what it's for. For transportation, I ended up spending nothing. You guys will see I ended up moving my whole transportation budget over to my parking budget. Books, I spent nothing. Gas, I budgeted $100 and ended up spending $300. Now, I think a big theme for me this month was kind of getting real and opening my eyes. Jumping back to my kind of money feels and how January went, I would honestly describe January as a very eye-opening month for me. Because I made the decision to start tracking every single dollar, no excuses, my eyes are really being opened up to how much I truly spend. I used to let things slip through the cracks and think that they weren't a big deal, but all those little things that aren't a big deal add up to numbers that actually make a difference and are a big deal. I feel like in January, I realized that I've kind of been lying to myself, thinking that I can still get by on a $100 a month gas budget when I set that budget 2 years ago and my life has changed dramatically since then. I use my car a lot more than I used to, and so of course I'm gonna spend more on gas. Instead of lying to myself and just keeping this budget at 100 and then always overspending every month, why don't I be honest and be real with myself and actually know how much I'm spending on gas and actually budget for that instead of, again, lying to myself. So yeah, we overspent there. Health and wellness, here's another area where I majorly overspent. You guys, I spent almost $400 on health and wellness stuff. So this is going to the dentist, getting a massage. If I were to go to therapy, anything that's more medical, that's like a bigger expense, would fall in this category. Things like tampons, things like a haircut, nails, that all goes into personal care, kind of smaller expenses. For me, this is not a cash category. This health and wellness category is for those bigger appointments. So this month I was anticipating getting a massage, and I totally forgot that I also needed to go to the dentist. So I went to the dentist, that was about $250. I did still go and get my massage because I made that promise to myself and I want to honor it. I know going and getting a monthly massage can seem like a luxury and can be like, well, you overspent, you shouldn't have done that. But if I commit that to myself and I know it's an act of self-care, I want to work my budget around it and I'll make space where I need. For example, I would actually rather go get a monthly massage than get my nails done, and nails is like half the cost. So already I've got some of the money there. Just moving things around and reprioritizing, I think it's your money. You do what you want with it. Now here's another get real category, which is parking. I used to never input how much I spent on parking. I always would just turn a blind eye to it. All those little $5, $8, they add up. And this month, like I said, I promised myself I would input every dollar, and boom, your girl spent $70 on parking. And now to note, this is street parking or indoor garage parking, but not related to where I live. So this is when I go out of the house, if I go to work downtown, go to a coffee shop, go to wherever, and I have to park on the street or I have to park in an indoor garage. That is that. It is not the parking that I pay to park my car here in my building. That's in a different category. We'll see it later. So I basically gave myself my transportation budget and put it here in parking. And again, I really had to get real. I really had to get real of how much I'm actually spending, and it's quite painful. It kind of sucks to know that I'm spending that much on parking. We'll talk about it when we build next month's budget of what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna budget for it, because in the winter time, it's cold, it's snowy, it's slushy, it's unpleasant, and my car is for convenience, so I use my car a lot more in the winter than I do in the summer. So we're just gonna have to budget for it. Now workouts, I budgeted $0. I ended up spending $35 on a Pilates class. Car stuff, nothing. Vacation, nothing. Christmas, nothing. Skiing, I budgeted $20, ended up spending nothing. Special events, nothing. And personal development, I budgeted $75 for a Pilates book, but it was $75 plus tax, so that came out to $86. So that's an overview of my spending. I would say most of the areas where I went over were on one-off purchases. So like the trip to Canadian Tire, the massage / the dentist. Let's blame it on the dentist. Let's not blame it on the massage. Let's blame it on the dentist. So those kind of one-off, one-time purchases as opposed to little things adding up. So I know what the culprit is. I know where I kind of just need to improve. But then again, it's like I needed the stuff from Canadian Tire. Am I going to sit around and sulk about it, or am I just going to move on? I'm going to move on. So I budgeted $1,470 to spend, ended up spending $2,308. So again, overspending by $800 here. Now, with all that spending in mind, I want to just empty out my cash envelopes and make sure everything lines up. That way we can start with a fresh slate for February. We have a $5 bill left for dining out, which tracks because the rest of it is probably in small change. So I'm just gonna remove it. Groceries should have $3 left. That would be in small change. Transportation, this was the envelope I was using actually for parking because I did find a garage where I can park for super cheap downtown for the whole day. It's cash only, so definitely my type of place. And I just have some coins left over. Nothing left in Maggie, nothing left in home. For personal care, we have that $20 left. This one I'm not gonna take it out because I do wanna roll it over. For gifts, we have that $30 cash left. I'm gonna roll it over as well. Treat yourself is empty, coffee's empty, and then this is my cash savings envelope. And then I also have a spent on credit envelope that has $20 left. I did deposit the rest when I went and got the cash that we're gonna use for February. But anytime I forget my cash envelopes, anytime I need to buy something online, if it's a cash category, I'll take the cash out of the envelope and put it into this spent on credit envelope. That way I don't kind of double dip and think that I have more money left over than I do. So that is all good. I'm going to put this $5 bill into my savings. I love building up a kind of savings fund in cash because it adds up so quickly. It's seriously the best. And then these two loonies here. Oh my God, Rich Baby Piggy's getting heavy. It's gonna be time to empty her out soon. But you guys, you can give the pig's nose a little rub for good luck. So that's all good for last month's spending. When it comes to my bill payments, everything was pretty regular and as predicted. For me, bill payments are those monthly expenses that come out of my accounts on the same day every single month. Things like my rent, my insurance, my indoor garage parking here at home, Netflix subscription, Spotify, things again that come out on the same day and that also don't change month to month. So the price is fixed. I include those in this bill payment section. If we take a look at my income, it was actually way higher than expected this month because I received a unexpected tax refund. You guys know I've been dealing with some business with the IRS and they sent me my tax refund, which was amazing. It was quite a bit of money, over $4,000, which is insane. I didn't know that was coming when I got that check in the mail. I was like, are you kidding me? It seriously felt like a gift from above. So what I did was I split that amount 50-50 between my emergency fund and my vacation sinkings fund. The rest of my income was pretty much as expected. Copywriting was on the lower side. I usually like this to be around $1,000, and unfortunately, as we wrap up this month, next month's gonna be lower too. So I'm happy that I've been picking up more bar shifts because you guys can see I actually earned quite a bit this month from teaching bar and Pilates. Over $2,000 doing something I love. So that's pretty cool. Down here, you guys can see that savings contribution that I spoke about. I just split up that check 50-50. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, we can see my investments. I am so proud of myself, you guys. For the first time ever, I actually paid myself first. I never, ever, ever was a pay yourself firster. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I need to pay off my credit cards. I need to do this. I can't do it. I can't do it. For 2025, I said no more excuses. Bish, you're gonna pay yourself first. And I made myself do it in the middle of the month so that I wouldn't feel tempted to otherwise use that money to pay off my credit cards or anything. So right in the middle of the month, when I got my copywriting paycheck, I right away put $500 towards my TFSA investment and it felt so good. I really think had I waited to the end of the month, I might've been like, oh no, I should save it for something else. It was like, nope, no brainer, no thinking, just do it. Ideally, I would like to get that on an auto deposit so that it can be even more mindless. But because I don't get paid on the same day every month, it needs to be me who does it for now until I can at least build up more of a buffer in my checking account because I don't want to get hit with an NSF because those cost like $40. But anyways, all that to say, I did it. I'm really proud of myself and I can't wait to do it again next month. So yeah, $500 towards my investments for the month feels so good, especially considering that in the previous couple of months, I haven't been contributing to my investments. So I'm so glad to get the ball rolling on that once more. Because it's important. It's important. And in that book I was reading, it was talking about the power of compound interest. And it's like, we all know it. We all know we've got to be investing, but it's so easy to make excuses of why not to do it, but we got to get back on it. It's important. So now that we've reviewed February, it's time for those kind of in-between transactions, which would be paying off my credit cards. Any leftover money would go to savings, and then opening up February's budget by paying my rent, making sure my money for insurance is in my checking account, and just kind of taking care of all of that. So let's move from January's tab over to February. I have already pre-filled in my bill payments. When I opened up my budget tracker for the new year, I just copy pasted it for all of the months because it's just faster that way. My monthly rent is $875 and I did pay that today, so I can go ahead and put that in, change the date to February 1st. My car insurance usually comes out around the 2nd of the month, so I'll put that in for February. It hasn't come out yet, so I'm not gonna input it in here, but I did already move the money into my checking account. That way there's no surprises. Spotify comes out later in the month, same thing with my iCloud, my QuickBooks, and my Netflix. That's it for my subscriptions. I pay my phone through my business, and my Wi-Fi and my indoor parking is all in this number right here, which is quite low because I live with my partner and we share everything and he earns more than me, and you guys know the drill by now. So it's that quick, you guys. My bill payments are already set up for the month. If we look over to my income summary, it's gonna be a 2-paycheck month for bar. For copywriting, I usually get paid in the middle of the month. Let's put the 15th. For Pilates, I get paid at the end of the month. Oops, it's January. Oh my God, I'm putting 2024. We You gotta hop forward. All right, so for bar, I'm gonna be getting paid on the 6th and then on the 20th. For Pilates, I get paid at the end of the month. And then I pay myself a dividend usually towards the end of the month. So we'll just put February 28th. And that's all good. So this is my forecasted income for the month of January. And then it's my job to ensure that my budget does not exceed this number. So that means my bill payments, my expense summary, any savings or debt repayments or investing all need to add up to this number or less. So I've already got my budget here. I am going to be making some changes because I basically just copied this over from January. And like I said, in January, I really had my eyes opened and I realized it was time to get real with myself of what my budget actually needs to be. I have been so hung up on having a $1,000 cash budget because that's the number that I started cash envelopes with. However, I started cash envelopes about 3 years ago, and as we know, the world has changed a lot since then. Stuff is way more expensive and continues to get more expensive. So I kind of realized that I needed to get real with myself and give myself a little bit more money in my cash budget for each month instead of trying to restrict myself and then overspending. So I'm gonna try and do 1,100, so only $100 more. However, I did take out 1,200 from the ATM just in case I needed a little bit of a buffer. So let's dive in back into the budget tracker and make my budget for February. For groceries, I do like the number 450. That seems to work really well for me. And for dining out, I think if I'm being realistic, $200 is just a more realistic number. For coffee, I think we can bring that back. We'll see, we'll come back to this. $200 for Maggie, I'm gonna keep it at this number, even though I don't need to get food for her. She does have a grooming appointment booked and that is very expensive, not to mention the frequent visits to the dog sitter. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna catch myself in the middle of closing my eyes, which is that I'm like, $200 makes sense. But what if we actually forecasted how much I think I'm gonna spend? And we can do it right here in the Google Sheet. So I'm gonna do equals. Usually it costs about $150 to bring her to the groomer with like tax and tip and everything. And then she is most likely gonna go to doggy daycare 4 times. So that's 4 times 46. Let's see. Oh, why did that not work? Okay, now we have a real number, $334 for the dog. That is insane. Like that's crazy, but at least it's real, right? So I'm gonna leave it even though it literally causes me pain. And we're gonna move on. For the home, $50, I feel like that makes sense. I do have something on my wish list and I'm not sure if this would fall into home or personal care, but we really need new hand soap and I'm obsessed with this hand soap from the brand Way. It's really overpriced, it's really expensive, but I'm like, oh, if I budget for it, like it's fine. So anyway, $50 is usually a good buffer for home. For personal care, $40 is perfect because we're rolling over that 20 from last month and then I'm gonna add an extra 20. Then we have the treat yourself category, which I'm gonna do another $50. I think that's fine. For gifts, it's gonna become 60 because we're rolling over the 30. It's Valentine's Day this month, so it's good to give a little bit of an extra budget. We're not like extravagant Valentine's Day gift givers. I feel like we do more extravagant for Christmas and birthdays, but it's just cute to do like a little something for Valentine's Day. For transportation, I am gonna need new Metro passes this month, so I'm gonna do the $30 and then I'll make sure to give myself enough money for parking later on. For books, nothing. For gas, I think let's be real and do another $300. Health and wellness is gonna be $135. I'm only planning my massage and that's how much it costs. For parking, so let's get real here. We're gonna do equals and it's $15 a week that I spend because I drive downtown every Tuesday and have to pay for parking all day. Depending on where you live, $15 might sound outrageous, but this is the cheapest it gets downtown. If you park on the street, it's $8 an hour, and in most of the indoor garages, it's $25 for the day. So this was a gem that I found. So that brings it to $60, which I will do cash for. But it also does happen where I need to park on the street for other little errands. So I'm gonna do an additional $10. Let's do 15, let's be real, which makes a total budget of $75 for parking. However, I'm only gonna do 60 of that cash because the rest I do through the app on my phone, so there's no point in taking out cash for that. For workouts, I'm gonna do $0. I don't foresee going to any classes or anything. Basically, I don't pay for workouts because I work in a gym, so I get it for free. It's only if I go outside of my gym that I have to pay for classes, which I did last month. I don't foresee anything for car stuff. It shouldn't be until March that I have to change my winter tires back to my summer tires. No vacations coming up. And then these last categories I'm gonna leave as is. So this brings my total budget to $17.44. And if we look in the cash categories, it would be, gas is not a cash category, but parking now is. So this would come to $12.89 for cash. So that is more than I took out. We need to play around here and get this down a little bit. Let's do $30 for treat yourself instead. And let's actually keep gifts at $30. I won't add any new money to the gifts category. Okay, we still need to take out $40 in order for this to work. Okay, we're gonna do $4.20 for groceries and we're gonna do $180 for dining out. So I'll split the burden there. And then let's see what this comes out to. Now it's under. What? That should have been $4.30. I think this will make sense now. Okay, perfect. So now we're exactly in line with the amount of cash that I took out, $1,200. So in just a minute, we will stuff the cash envelopes accordingly. This is all good. That is all good. I'm not budgeting anything for savings this month because I was able to make such a big contribution thanks to that unexpected income last month. And then when it comes to my investments, I'm hoping to do another $500 in Pay Yourself First. I love this little goals section down here, the monthly goals. I just have 3 simple goals that I'm going to transfer over. It's really fun because once you've achieved the goal, you can actually go in and check it off. So my 3 goals are to invest in my TFSA and pay myself first, which those are intertwined. And then my last goal is to have $2,000 in my 1 month ahead, which is a second checking account that I have that I put money in throughout the month to be able to ensure that when the month finishes, I have enough money in my account for my rent, my insurance, and my cash budget. It's just something that I like to do to give me peace of mind, and it makes such a big difference getting 1 month ahead. It does take thinking, like throughout the month, you have to think, okay, I need to put money into my 1 month ahead. It's kind of like paying yourself first, but for your basic expenses instead of investing. And it's honestly life-changing. I have a video all about it from a long time ago, but I'll link it down below in case you're interested. So now it's time for the moment of truth to see if my budget matches up to my forecasted income. So let's add my budgeted bill payments with my budgeted expenses and my budgeted investments. $3,242 perfectly lines up with my expected income. If I were to go over this, it would mean either taking from my savings or going into debt, which obviously I am super against, especially credit card debt. That's why I'm so grateful to have my emergency fund and my corresponding sinking funds. In last month's video, I know I promised you guys a video about my sinking funds and my goals, and I haven't made it yet because I feel like I'm still ironing out the details of how I want my bank accounts to look in 2025, but just know it's coming. I'm kind of working on it. I'm working on it inside my head, and then the video will follow shortly. We're so close to the end. The last step is to stuff my cash envelopes, which you guys know is my favorite step of all. I love it. I went to the ATM this morning and got my fresh budget. It's always so fun going to the ATM. People ask me if it's annoying, and it's like a tiny bit annoying because obviously you're going out of your way, but once I go and once it's done, I feel so empowered because I know that I'm putting in the extra work in a way that really makes a difference when it comes to my finances and my budget. Let's say it takes me 30 minutes out of my day to go to the ATM. That 30 minutes saves me hundreds of dollars every month, which translates to thousands of dollars every year. So worth it. So I'm gonna take out all of my cash envelopes and we will get to stuffing. I actually just realized that some of this is rollover, so we may be able to put some money back into like my groceries and my dining out budget. Those are obviously the 2 biggest ones. But let's get going. We're gonna do $430 for groceries. That's 100, 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 300, 2, 4, 6, 8, 400, and $30. 2, 4, 6, 8, 100, 50, 60, 70, and 80. 180 for dining out. Okay, time for the big one, which is Maggie's category. We said, 100, 2, 4, 6, 8, 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 300, and $30. $334 actually, but I don't have a 5. I'll just update that in here to be $330 so that it matches. 20, 40, and $50 for the home. Oh yeah, I forgot we're rolling over from personal care, so I'm only gonna add an extra 20 in here. For coffee, we said nothing. I'm going to use my transportation envelope for parking as well because I haven't made a new parking envelope yet. So we have $30 for transportation. So that's my Metro Pass. And then 20, 40, 50, 60, 70. We'll just do 80 to make it nice and even. $80 for parking. That is so crazy. And I'll just reflect that change in here. For gifts, we said nothing, but it is looking like I'm gonna have some money left over. And then we also have treat yourself. So with the leftover money, I'm going to do $50 for treat yourself instead of $30. And then I will go ahead and add this last $30 to the gifts category. Or should I add it to groceries? Let's do groceries. So that makes for a total groceries budget of $450. And again, throughout the month, as I see how things are going, I can always pass money between my categories. It's my money, I choose what to do with it, just like it's your money, you choose what to do with it. All right, so that is excellent. Let's just reflect that change here. Boom. So it does make the budget a little bit higher compared to my earnings, but I know it's because I've been rolling over money, so I'm not too worried about that. Now it's time for the best part, which is clipping my whole budget back into my folio. And just a little moment for this gorgeous folio from the line with my initials on it. And I also keep my loyalty cards in here. We're gonna clip everything in. I'll do my savings at the back. Actually, savings and spent on credit, I usually leave in a different folio that I leave at home. Groceries. Dining out, Maggie, home, personal care, coffee's empty, we can leave it at home, transportation and parking, treat yourself, and gifts. So there we go. That is my entire budget for February. I like to wrap up these videos with a little chat about what's next, any goals that I have or things in mind. For February, a big thing is going to be to continue monitoring every single dollar, seeing if these updated numbers make more sense and if I'm able to not overspend because I've actually created a budget that reflects reality. However, of course, I want to keep each of these categories as low as possible because it's so great when I have money left over that I can put towards savings. Of course, another goal for February is going to be to pay myself first once again, earn as much as possible, spend as little as possible. You guys know the drill. Like I previously mentioned, I still haven't taken the time to really sit down and think about my personal finance goals, and I honestly think that's okay. I feel like oftentimes in the past, what I would do is just set a bunch of random goals that sounded nice or I felt like I should be setting just because it was New Year's. I kind of like this year that I'm taking my time. However, I do need to make the time to sit down and really think about it. So I will be doing that soon. You guys can expect a dedicated video from me all about my financial goals, which will include sinking funds and investing and all of that. I have so many fun personal finance videos planned coming up, so make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss them. And I always like to sprinkle a little bit of personal finance chats in my vlogs as well. I like to keep it balanced over here. So with all that being said, that's a wrap on this video. We are now officially ready for February. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you made it to the end, comment a little money emoji, and I will see you all in my next video.